Bobby Moore led England up to the Royal Box to receive the Jules Rimet Cup and the winners' medals. To be here as winners of the...
Hello everyone, welcome to MotorHome Beep Beep. I'm at the London Crematorium and Cemetery today to see Bobby Moore, the captain of England, 1966 World Cup. That's etched into a lot of people's memories, isn't it? So off we go, we're going to examine his life and find his final resting place. This has got to be the biggest cemetery I've been in. It's absolutely enormous, but it's lovely and it's nice and sunny. So Bobby Moore, he was the best defender, and a lot of people think he was the best defender ever in football. That's what his fellow footballers said about him. Beautiful place, look, just show you. Can you see? Nice. I've got to say I can't see any stones at the moment, but we'll keep on going. And he was a super calm, collected guy. His fellow footballers said he was the perfect guy for a captain because apart from being a wonderful defender, he judged the game. He knew what was going on. He watched the way it was all panning out, and he knew just how to control that game. He was a wonderful technician in his mind of the football. So that's why he was the captain, really. He was a very, very smart dresser, very calm and collective, charismatic. Somebody said that if he fell into a pool of water, he'd come out looking with his suit on, he'd come out absolutely perfect, where most people would get out looking bedraggled. He wasn't. He was a, really collected guy. Jimmy Greaves said he used to be in the room with him, and he said he would put all his clothes out in a line, his watch would be on the end. It was all together, neat and tidy. And Jimmy Greaves said most footballers would come in and wipe their boots on the beds, but he didn't. It was very, very neat. And that's how he conducted his football. Wonderful. It's not around that bit then, so let's wander over here. Got to say, if you've got somewhere to wander, you might as well wander here. It's lovely. Love these places. You come off the busy road, traffic everywhere, and then you're here, tranquil. Absolutely gorgeous day. Really is. Just had a pot noodle and how to live, don't I? Bombay mix. You don't need to know that one, do you really? We've got the pond, wonderful. I've got to look for an elm tree, but the only problem with that is I don't really know what an elm tree looks like. I know what a tree looks like, but I don't think that's going to help me. Never mind. The 1966 World Cup was the biggest international sporting event since the 1948 Olympics. It was massive, and on the day there was 97,000 fans in that stadium. They paid over £200,000, which is a lot of money in 1966. It's a kind of day where, if people are old enough to remember it, which there is a lot that do, it's etched in your brain. It must have been. I watched a rerun, the condensed version of the match, and it was fantastic, very exciting. So I'm going to do a circle of this and see if we've got any stones. I've seen the stone picture, once again, it's square, but I don't know where it is. And Bobby Moore became captain of the team in 1964, and there was a very airy moment just before the World Cup because he played for West Ham and he was in conflict with the management there. He wanted to raise him money. He actually only wanted £10 a week extra. They didn't get the money like they do nowadays. It wasn't the really big payouts. So he was fighting for this extra £10, and he was going to resign from the cup from West Ham, and if he did that, that means he would not be able to play for the World Cup team. So it was like that for a little while, but of course everything came to be okay. He played a lot for England. He had the record for the most caps, did Bobby Moore. He had 108 caps for England. That was broken by Peter Shilton, who got 125 caps. Put that in perspective, Beckham got 109 caps. So he was a top-class player. I think I'm going the wrong way because I'm doing a circle, but nothing looks good to me. Nothing worthy. They're all grave crosses, they're not the stones. But I always have faith I'm going to find it while I'm chatting. Watching a rerun of the match, it was even exciting watching the rerun. The Germans scored the first goal in the first 12 minutes, and then of course Jeff Hurst equalised for the first half. So they went to the restroom, 1-1. Good start to the game, I guess. And then in the second half, Martin Peters popped away the second goal. That was 2-1. And yeah, it was looking good. And then I think in the last seconds of the game, the Germans equalised and we got 2 each. What a letdown. So they were quite an evenly matched team, Germany and England. It was a good match. So we had to go into extra time, and of course, as we all know, Jeff Hurst got his second goal. We're in the lead, 3-2, and then of course he popped the hat-trick in before the end, and you know, what a player he was. 3 goals for Hurst, we won 4-2. Fantastic. So, superb result, superb match. Even exciting watching a rerun of it all these years later. I'm not a big football fan, but when it comes to England and, you know, your own country, you tend to get behind it, don't you? Whether you're a football fan or not. One of his closest friends was Alan Ball, who was quite a bit younger than Bobby Moore. I think he was 21 years old when he was playing the match. It all went over his head a bit. He said he couldn't really. His father told him, drink it all in because it'll be over so quick. And he said now he's older that a lot of it did go over his head. But he was very close to Bobby Moore, was Alan Ball, you know, with the fiery red hair. Well, no, not like me. Oh dear. I'm not doing any bald jokes. I'm not bald anyway. I do have some hair, you know. It's just it was going thin on there, and years ago I shaved it all off. Best way, innit? Seemingly it was harder getting up the steps to get the World Cup off the Queen than it was playing the full World Cup match into extra time. All the fans were slapping them on the back and congratulating them. If you watch it, they are as well. And Bobby Moore got to the top. And don't forget, he's a very neat man. And he saw these glistening white gloves of the Queen, ready to shake hands. And if you notice, he wipes his hands on the top before he shakes hands with the Queen. He didn't want to put mud on the white gloves. Wasn't that thoughtful? Great. Shows you the kind of man he was.
May we, in 1970, be represented by a team of sportsmen as good as these winners of the World Cup.
Somebody said that Bobby Moore, I think it was Jimmy Greaves might have said it, was the calmest man in the stadium. That's the kind of temperament he had. Even after playing that match, he was very collected. That's what made him the great footballer he was. He didn't get excited, he didn't raise his fist, he didn't shout at people, he motivated them. I always think when you're doing these films, there's two types of people. The sort of influencers that are very productive in their life, and the ones that go, unfortunately, a bit sad. And he definitely falls into the, you know, into the influencer section, definitely. And they took the bus to the Claridge's Hotel in London, and I think the trip was going to be half an hour and it took 2 hours or something like that. In other words, it slowed the number of fans there watching it. And they got to the hotel and came out on the top, and every one of the players grabbed the World Cup and they moved it down the line. And every time the player got the next World Cup in the line, all the crowd cheered, "Way!" It's very touching to watch if you've not seen it. It was great. Alan Ball and Bobby Moore both said they were on good money, they were on good wages, but it wasn't like today. But ever since winning the World Cup in 1966, it changed football. It became not just a sport, it became more of a high value profession. And of course nowadays they earn a fortune. Of course the lifespan of the players is small, but then they didn't earn that kind of money. They weren't financially rich. It just didn't happen like it does today. You know, I mean, Bobby Moore had nice cars. He went into businesses like developing fancy shirts. You know, he did make a lot of business and money after the World Cup because of the status of football going up, and for us in England. But yeah, it wasn't like today where they earn millions, you know. It just wasn't. It was the beginning of what we've got now, where you get celebrity status and big money. It was the very beginning of that era, winning the World Cup. Oh, there's a tractor now. Hello. Oh, he's waving at me. I went like that and he waved. Yeah, Jimmy Greaves said he got a wicked sense of humour, etc. There'd be a lineup for these officials, and Bobby Moore would bring the officials down the lineup, and he'd give every footballer the wrong name. Alan Ball would become Jimmy Greaves, etc., etc. And they wouldn't know any different, and they'd be saying, you know. Funny guy. He didn't realise that. He always looked quite serious, didn't he? But that was part of his steady, calm persona, really. He went to the 1970 World Cup, and it went a little bit disastrous, that, because they went to Bogota, Colombia, and it's well documented that he got accused of trying to steal a bracelet from a glass cabinet. He didn't do it. He didn't do it. It was proven not to do it, but if they could not have done that, it would have stopped him playing, and it obviously makes you think that that was a, dirty deed, to try and get him out of the match. It was 100-degree temperature there. Very difficult place for him to play, but yeah, there we are. Jonathan Pearce, who was a commentator, asked Don Revie what made Bobby Moore so great. He said he wasn't the best at heading, he wasn't the best at tackling, he wasn't the best at pace. So Jonathan Pearce said, well, what made him so great? He says, because he was Bobby Moore. He was the best footballer we ever had. And Bobby Charlton said he had the greatest awareness of the game. He could judge what was going on, and that's what made him the great manager. Well, look at that. Looks like we've got a fox here. It's nice, isn't it? It's carved from the tree stump. It's very good. Well, I'm going to head back to the pond because I haven't seen anything. And if I don't find it, I'll have to walk without the camera and find it and then film. We'll see. Alan Ball said that on the Thursday, before he died on the Monday coming, he rang him up and he said he didn't realise it, but he was saying goodbye to him. And he did a pilgrimage to Wembley a couple of days before he died, and he also went to West Ham because he died of cancer, and he did it very bravely. He didn't make a fuss. A lot of people didn't know that he wasn't well. He did it very dignified, like he did everything else in his life. When you sort of research these people, I knew obviously quite a bit about Bobby Moore from the history, but not as much as I do now from researching him. And he falls into the category of a man that I would have thought I would have liked personally. You've got to admire him with his collective thought, the way that he conducted his life, the way that he managed England. Yeah, it was a great man as well as a great footballer, really. Robert Frederick Chelsea Moore, OBE, an English professional footballer. Most notably played for West Ham United, captaining the club for more than 10 years. He was also the captain of England national team that won the 1966 FIFA World Cup. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest defenders in the history of football and was cited by Pelé as the greatest defender that he ever played against. Moore was born in Barking, Essex, the son of Robert E. Moore and Doris née Buckle. He attended Westbury Primary School, Barking, then Tom Hood School, Leytonstone, playing football for both. In 1956, Moore joined West Ham United as a player after advancing through the youth setup. He played his first game on the 8th of September 1958 against Manchester United. Putting on the number 6 shirt, he replaced the mentor Malcolm Allison, who had suffered from tuberculosis. At international level, Moore played for England's national youth team. The team reached the UEFA Youth Tournament final in 1958. The team did win the British Amateur Youth Championship that year. Alongside Jeff Hurst, both played in the 1959 Youth Cup final team that lost to Blackburn Rovers 1-2 on aggregate. But both were also in the team that won the Southern Junior Football Cup 1-0 versus Chelsea later that year. Moore also played cricket for Essex youth team alongside Hurst. In 1960, Moore earned a call-up for the England under-23 squad. His form and impact on West Ham as a whole had earned him a late call-up for the full English squad by Walter Winterbottom and the Football Association Selection Committee in 1962, when finally preparations were being made for that summer's World Cup finals in Chile. Moore was uncapped as he flew to South America with the rest of the squad, but made his debut on the 20th of May 1962 in the English final pre-tournament friendly, a 4-0 win in Peru in Lima. Moore retired from playing professionally in 1978. Moore's first cancer was in 1964, 2 years before England's first World Cup win. A diagnosis of testicular cancer on one was treated. In April 1991, Moore underwent an operation for suspected colorectal cancer. At the time it was reported as an emergency stomach operation. On the 14th of February 1993, he announced he was suffering from colorectal cancer and liver cancer. By this time it had spread. 3 days later he commentated on an English match against San Marino at Wembley alongside his friend Jonathan Pearce. Moore attended the dinner after the match and made his presentation. That was the final public act. 7 days later, on the 24th of February at 6:36 a.m, he died at the age of 51. I'm going to head in this direction and look for a sycamore tree. Quite difficult when I don't know what they look like, but never mind. Whoops! I've seen it. Oh, you always get a little shiver when you... I like it when you do this bit, it's really fun. I know, because it's a little square plaque. Well, it's a big square plaque. And that must be what you call a sycamore tree. Yep. There we are, guys. Look, I'll show you. There we go. Bobby Moore's final resting place. There's a chapel. Went the wrong way a few times, but never mind. Here we go. Let's move in. Oh, superb. Couple of nice flowers there, look. I know they're dying a bit, but never mind. Bobby Moore OBE, 1941 to 1993. Also, Robert Edward Moore, 1913 to 1978, and Doris Joyce Moore, 1912 to 1992. Hello, Bobby. Really enjoyed watching you on the documentaries. You were a great guy. A very stylish and calm and collective guy. That's why you made such a great captain of the team. And it's a lovely place where you are. Thank you, Bobby. What a great guy he was. You know, time is the most important thing we've got. And I'll give you a little story. It's quite interesting. About 10 or 15 years ago, I was in Leeds at a poetry reading evening. And this chap called Felix Dennis was doing the reading. He was the second biggest publisher in the world. Very rich. And he'd written a book, How to Become Rich. And it was a joke. The book was really about how not to try because it's not worth the time that you take in doing it. And it's so unlikely because you need a lot of luck. And he thought it was funny that people would be reading that on the tube and other people would be laughing. And it's really not that. It was how to not try because it's not worth the effort. He was putting you off, really, not encouraging you. Anyway, so at the 10 seconds at the end where you shake the hand and get your book signed, I said something to him, and he said, if you want to go over there, I'll see you in a few minutes when I've finished and we'll have a little chat. And he did, 5 or 10 minutes, you know. It was great. So I asked him a few questions, and one of them was, have you any regrets? And he had some, but one of them was time. He'd wasted a lot of time. The biggest publisher in the world once rang him up and said, I want to buy you out. And they fought for years for dominance, you know. And he said, I just wasted so much of my life. You know, I didn't smell the roses enough. And you can't buy the time back. So that's true for all of us, really, you know. If we've got Maslow's chart, we've got the roof, we've got the food, we've got the love, the money's not, extra money's not going to make much difference. So you can't buy your time back. So enjoy it. Don't waste it. That's how I see it anyway. And thank you all. Don't forget to subscribe, ding the bell so you don't miss any future films. They're free, and a thumbs up and a comment would be great. We've got really loads of comments. It's super. You know, I'm getting to know loads of people and we're all talking to each other. It's becoming like a little community, and it's really nice, that. Really interesting comments, some of them as well. I love it. I do. So take care from me, Alan, at MotorHome Beep Beep. I'll see you all very soon. Bye.